independent in thought and punk rock in life. It's the Chad Benson Show.
Capitalism to me, it's an ideology of capital. It puts capital, the most important thing is the concentration of capital, and it means that we seek and prioritize profit and the accumulation of money above all else, and we seek it at any human and environmental cost.
People say, why do you put her on? Why do you guys give her? I'll tell you why she gets so much press. Because her and several other of the young ones are the ones who are doing so much more than people understand in the Democratic Party. New poll out today. Young Americans are embracing socialism. They don't really know what it is because they haven't seen it. The socialism, there isn't this war with this silent war with the Soviet Union, right? There isn't that anymore. There's no wall there, right? Cuba is a non-factor because the Soviet Union no longer exists. And China, what they know about China is what? Somewhat capitalistic, free market-ish, kind of, but really control, but not really. The only thing they think about, and they don't think of North Korea as that, and they look over at Venezuela, and many people, when I posted a picture over the weekend of what Venezuela looks like with no lights on in Caracas, when I posted that picture, people are like, well, you know, America's done that. So they don't understand what it is, and they keep going back, it's the Nordic model. It's the one you want. It's the Nordic model. And no matter how many times you point out that the Nordic folk, the Swedes, the Danes, right, the Finns, the Norwegians, the Wegians as we call them, they're like, we're not that. We're not that. But you've got a bunch of people that are running for president of the United States or America that were at South by Southwest, which is where you have to go. If you know what it is, it's Austin. It's cool. It's hip. They got all the latest and everything that's cool and hip, right? Like this is where Apple goes, and this is where people debut their hip movies, and the musicians that are going to be the stars of tomorrow are playing there. And now there's politics everywhere because you've got to stop by there and make yourself heard, especially in this day and age. And everybody is afraid on the left side of the aisle to say, yeah, I'm a capitalist, right? I'm a capitalist. I'm a capitalist. I'm a capitalist. Say I'm a capitalist. It's not that hard. It's not. It's not. Even if you want a bunch of social programs. And that's what the Swedish prime minister came out and said. Look, how do you think you pay for all the social programs? Right? How do you pay for that if you don't have free markets? But why it's important is because so many young Americans, right, millennials and Gen Z, are into giving government more power. And what are we talking about here? Are we talking, cradle to the grave, womb to the tomb kind of stuff? Because that's what they'll tell you over there in Europe. Hey, here's what we are, right? We got high taxes, but it works for us because we have a small, homogenous society that is all pulling in one direction, where everybody's pulling their own weight. We rob from each other, if you will. We are Peter and Paul and Mary. We'll rob from each one of us, right? I'm taking from Mary. She's taking from Paul. He's taking from me. I'm taking from him. He's taking from her. We're all kind of doing it all together. We're kind of getting that. We're all in the game together. Oh, and by the way, we're all educated, right? We all speak the same language. We're all moving in the same direction. It's not perfect, but it is what it is. But we have choice when it comes to schools. We have no minimum wage. There is no death tax. We are free market, very limited small taxes when it comes to corporations. These are the things that they're about. They just have taxes on goods that's massive. 25% value-added tax. People don't understand that. They want bigger government. They want more government control. They want government to be the end-all to be-all. You don't look to yourself, and you don't look to God, and you don't look to your neighbor. You look to government for help. That's what they want. That's the scary thing. And more people are looking around, and they're starting to say to themselves, man, they've got a lot more power. They got a lot more power than people understand. And a lot of these people are afraid. They're afraid to push. They're afraid of what may happen. They're afraid of a lot of this stuff. This younger generation is able to do things that this older generation isn't quite sure how to take. And they're going to be a big part of 2020.
This tells us something else, too, how much power Nancy Pelosi does not have over the Democrats in Congress now. The Young Turks are running the show.
Yes, that's something to think about. So people want to say, why? Because it's happening. You've got a younger generation that has been indoctrinated. You've got a younger generation that is essentially gone through college hearing one side of something, being told how life is totally unfair, how there's so many inequalities, how all of this stuff is just evil and bad and wrong, and that you can right the ship if you get elected and you take more control and you spread everything out easily, and anybody who dares say that you are this, that, and the other, you just come after them hardcore. Right? You destroy them in social media. You come after them because you've got the right idea. Everything is unfair. You need equitable distribution of everything. Capitalism is bad. It's all about greed. It's all about money. It's not about the person. That's scary. It is. And whether people want to believe it or not, more and more people are buying in to it. As a younger generation looks and says, ooh, that looks good. That looks good. Absolutely it does. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You can tweet at us. Love hearing from each and every single one of you. Speaking of isms and dollar bills, yo.
The president is requesting another $8.6 billion to build his wall. That is 6 times the amount that he got out of Congress during the last fight. Now, look, the president's budget is always aspirational. More than anything, it tells you about the president's priorities. And President Trump is making very clear to his conservative base that he is not giving up on this fight, even after he didn't get a single extra dollar during the shutdown fight. But Democrats, they are also making clear that they're not budging on this issue. Democratic leaders saying that history will repeat itself if the president tries to take on this fight once again, warning him, quote, "We hope he learned his lesson."
Chuck Schumer said that. You know what? At this point in time, I don't care. If you guys want to go on and say that there's going to be another government shutdown, I could care less. I don't care what. It doesn't affect me. It doesn't. Sorry. And if it affects you, that's a bummer. Right. I don't, if this is what you guys want to do. Right. I just, that ship has sailed for me. Bye-bye. Have a wonderful day. Have a wonderful, don't care. Right. You don't want to give him the money. He wants the money. You guys are going to stand there and argue over this. Everybody knows where this is going to go. Who cares at this point in time? I don't. He says he wants to go and find it. You guys want to fight it. It's going to go up to the top already. Now they're talking about, read a great article in the LA Times today where farmers in Arizona are already saying, look, it's not going to work. It's not. And part of the reason it's not going to work is you can build the wall. It may slow some people down, but until the Border Patrol puts themselves in position where they're much closer to act on certain things when they see it, it's not really going to do anything but slow them down getting over the wall. And until you change what you're doing, i.e. catch and release, who cares at this point in time? I agree, 110%. I've always said that. So now they're worried. And then you've got what's going on in Texas, which is where they want to start building this portion of the wall. And you've got environmentalists, and you've got also people who own property who are like, I don't want you building the wall here. So the frustration, this thing's going to take forever. And I've said it. You can give them all the money in the world to build this wall. Through lawsuits, through people who don't want it there, through environmental sides of lawsuits, the chances of it getting done potentially could be slim to none. Just because this is the world that we live in. And the world that we live in, everything seems to be decided by courts. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You can tweet at us. Love hearing from each and every one of you. If you didn't see the crash yesterday, it was massive. Another issue for the Boeing. 2 flights have gone down in the last few months, and a plane that is virtually brand new. And here's the thing about Ethiopian Air, because African Airlines, some Eastern European blocks and some Asian airlines, and in particular African Airlines, and I'm talking about like Asia Pacific and any of those things, some of these smaller carriers, but Africa in particular, you just don't fly there. Ethiopian Air probably has the best record when it comes to aircraft, and this was a brand new aircraft. So this wasn't one of those ones they bought from for like the 5th time this thing's been sold, and it's been in business since the 70s, this plane. This was a brand new airplane.
There are concerns about the aircraft involved, this 7378 MAX. It's a new version of the 737, the workhorse of the skies. There are 300 in the air flying at the moment, another 5,000 on order. So passengers and the airliners themselves, they want to know if these aircraft are safe to use.
My good friend, when I lived in England, Chris Green was a pilot for Virgin Atlantic, and we used to talk all the time. And I would say, "Oh, a new airplane." He said, and he's a head pilot, Virgin, flying the big old 747s, big time pilot, not some guys flying some regional carrier. He said to me all the time, "I will not fly on an airplane that hasn't been in service for at least a year, but I like it usually about 18 to 24 months. Then after that, I feel like the plane is ready." It's not the first time these things have had issues. They've all, they're grounding them in certain places already. It is an ugly look for Boeing. They're down big time. And once again, it sounds bizarre. Beautiful day, apparently. Nothing. Not a cloud in the sky. The plane is saying it's crashing. The pilot's saying, "We're trying to go up," and they're trying to get back to land this thing, and the plane's saying, "No, I think I want to go here." And that is not a good thing. That is not a good thing. And this is the second time this has happened. And I flew over last week a couple times, and I will tell you, again, you're 33,000 feet in the air. It's that helpless feeling, even if you fly a ton. When we took off from when I left, I was in Phoenix and I had to fly to Los Angeles. And as we flew, the minute we started taking off, the pilot came on and said, "Look, we're gonna hit some really rough patch. There's not gonna be any service on the plane. And I advise that all the attendants please stay in your seat for the entire flight." And it was gnarly. And the flight back was pretty fine. But then you saw yesterday, these planes are meant to be able to take a beating big time. But this had zero to do with the outside and all to do with what's going on inside. And that's scary because once something goes, south, there is no control. Eventually, it'll take itself to the ground as it did. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Hope you had a fantastic weekend. So much stuff to get to. I will tell you this. I'm very excited about this day, which I do believe should be a national holiday.
That's right. I love napping, okay? That's right. I'm not a preschooler in my 80s, but I love a good nap on a daily basis. I've had many 2-nap days, and those were glorious.
That's Jim Gaffigan right there. Today's National Nap Day. So if you have a chance to take a nap, I need one. I've got zero sleep in the last 24 hours. Zero sleep. Crazy. I'm exhausted. But I'm here, and I'm drinking iced tea, and I'm ready to roll. You can tweet at me at Chad Benson Show. I got a poll question up. We'll touch on that. You can text the program always 323-538-CHAD, 323-538-2423. Happy Monday. It's the Chad Benson Show.
Experiencing separation anxiety? That's dumb. Check out Chad 24/7 at his website, ChadBensonShow.com, and on iTunes, free. The Chad Benson Show. Never feel lonely again.
So two U.S. carriers fly the Southwest, and American Airlines used the 737 MAX 8. Southwest said, "We're flying it. We're fine. We got 750 Boeing aircraft. Southwest has operated 31,000 flights utilizing the MAX 8 aircraft. And we plan on operating those aircraft going forward." Now, producer Phil, you said something. You believe it's operator error in both of these rather than plane error.
I want to think that. I really do. And seriously, 98% of crashes are pilot error or operator error.
Yeah. So, but it's that you lose that kind of, you're in midair. You're, X amount of feet in the air, whether it's 10,000 feet or whether it's 33,000 feet in the air, you have no control, and you give that control up, and there's a reason people are scared, because so many of us are control freaks, and it's uncomfortable because we can't see anything. It's like, how is this thing up here? How does this thing weigh so much? And you understand that the reality is that you could fly 1,000,000 times and never come close to being in a crash, but the human nature kicks in. And it's having no control. So American Airlines, I don't know how many they have, but Southwest, this would be huge if they had to stop using them. And Dianne Feinstein's calling for all of them to be grounded by this. And reports today out of Ethiopia say that some people saw some sort of smoke or fire coming from the back of the airplane. I don't know if that's true or not, but it's an ugly situation. But it goes back to our primal fear of being in no control. And the whole thought process of flying, I get it. I totally get it. Right? I was on a flight a couple weeks ago. It was nasty. I was on a flight last week. It wasn't the greatest thing in the world. And you can see some of the nerves of people in there, no matter how many times you fly. It goes through your head. It does. It does. And it's a creepy thing. And I totally get that. Is it operator error? I mean, the first thing that came to my mind, you're in an area where you never know what kind of situation could be had. Is there, they want to find out more than anybody else because they want to put a stop to it. But also, in a horrible way, they're probably thinking to themselves, I hope it was sabotage in some way, because that is also the way that people think. Right? That's the way that we think. Because okay, this wasn't anything. The plane itself is not dangerous. It was sabotage. It makes it easier to cope with getting on a plane. And USA Today is reporting that many people are saying they're calling Southwest and American Airlines saying, I'm not going to fly if it's this plane. I'm not flying if it's this plane. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You can tweet at us. Got a poll question. We'll touch on that. Woman goes to the zoo, has her hold my beer moment. Not a shocker. You just wonder, right? For all the stuff we talk about, this is another one of those hold your beer moments. Chad Benson Show.
The Chad Benson Show.
Independent in thoughts and punk rock in life. It's the Chad Benson Show.
The fact that Donald Trump has had so many different shifting stories on his tax returns and has been so completely unwilling to release them only increases the suspicion that there is something there that will show to a certain extent that he's compromised. So that's why this matter is so important. That's why it hasn't died over the last couple of years. If he didn't have anything to hide, I think it's quite clear he would have released his tax returns like every previous presidential nominee has done since Nixon.
Yeah. Well, yeah, it is what it is, right? That's Democrat Brendan Boyle. I laugh. I thought, you know what? It is. Pelosi came out today and she says, yeah, he's not worth it. We're not doing this. I'm not doing impeachment. And there's a reason for that. She knows. Politically, she gets it, right? She gets it. She goes, it's going to divide the country and it's going to make things worse. And as we all know, people dig in even harder. You want to win in 2020? Run somebody you think can beat him. If you go knowing full well you're not going to impeach him, but you do it anyways because you want to show your hashtag resisting, it's going to cause a lot of people to go, sorry, I can't get behind what you guys are doing, and this is really your best use of your time? Unless there was something so egregious. And the other thing is, too, she's probably already knows what everybody already knows. There's nothing there in the Mueller report that is going to make people go, he's got to go. He's got to go. Just absolutely has to go. And if you're going back 10 years, even before he was president, and he got a loan from the Saudis or the Russians, you're reaching at this point in time. Your best bet is to focus and figure it out. But she came out today and said, it's not worth it. She gets it. Politically, Whether you like her or not, she's astute. She understands it. All right. So every once in a while, we here in Arizona are just so blessed to have, well, we are the Florida of the West. And you'll hear this beautiful sound. It is not sex, so get your mind out of the gutter. And it is not an R. Kelly video. No. It is a woman who decided, hey, hold my beer. I've got an opportunity to take a picture with a wild animal. And she did it. And she's an idiot. I'm sorry. I know people are like, oh, my God, how could you say that? Well, you're an idiot. It's an animal that's wild, right? It's an animal that's wild, right? It's in a situation where you can get so much closer than any other zoos. That's the whole point, right? You get up close, but she thought, it's not as close as I want, right? Now, in fairness to her, she has said sorry.
The zoo's director stressing the jaguar will not be euthanized because neither attack was the animal's fault.
A zoo spokesperson says that woman who was injured actually went back to apologize, admitting she was wrong to cross that barrier.
Yeah, but isn't it funny? Like, I never in my life, and maybe that's because I've had so many dealings and I've got animals. Again, I have looking animals and I have other animals, right? I always tell everybody, I have looking lizards where I look at them, and when I go in there, it is with utmost care because they're big enough to tear me apart and do enough damage that I would have to get stitches and the whole 9 yards. And I'm very careful when I go in their habitat and the way that I handle them. But like, I've had friends who've got big cats like this, who've rescued them. They're USDA approved, meaning they can handle animals like this. And they'll tell you, first of all, when you go to any zoo and you see those big cats and they're not behind glass and they're kind of an outdoor enclosure, at any given time, if they said, yeah, I think I've had enough, they're getting out. Right? Think about how high and far your cat can jump. But it wasn't good enough for this lady. So in the brilliance there was, she had the hold my beer moment because she needed a selfie. Because when we get this smart thing in our hand, it makes us do dumb stuff. Maybe it is, I don't know, maybe it's like some sort of witch. It's a witch. It's a witch. And I love the fact that they're like, well, we're not going to put it down. Nor should you. The animal's doing what the animal does. It's natural. Hey, you're coming in my cage? You're getting close to me? Let me show you how this goes. I'm not your typical house cat. I'm a little bit bigger. I'm a little bit badder. And at any given time, I could snatch the life out of you. She survived. She apologized, right? In fairness to her, I think that was awesome because most people wouldn't have. And the guy that was hurt earlier by the same cat did the same thing. Stuck his hand where he shouldn't have. Got it swiped. He didn't want to sue. He just wanted the place to put up better barriers. That's not the point. That's not the point. The point is we want to see and get close. What we need to do is maybe take an IQ test before you wander in there. It amazes me. It does. It absolutely amazes me how stupid people are. And we'll hear about other stories like this because somebody's going to do something stupid. They're going to put their kid where they're not supposed to. The kid's going to fall in, right? When we know about the one, we've seen several of those. And then lately we've had the suicide by animal, right? Where people are kind of off and they're just kind of over life and they go into a cage and rather than the cop do it, they want something to maul them to death, which just sounds awful. Oh, 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You could tweet at us. Italy is doing something. a nation that used to have situations where we didn't even have to think about anything like this because we seemed to have eradicated everything. But somewhere along the line, somebody had a mommy blog and somebody said this thing causes this. And how do you know? Well, you're like, well, because I've got a liberal arts degree and I just know that this has to be true. What's your scientific data? Oh, I don't even have any scientific data. And away we go. But Italy's doing this, and should we?
Parents in Italy must now present proof that children have been vaccinated if they want them to attend school or face a steep fine. The anti-vax movement in Italy has led to the country having one of the lowest vaccination rates in Europe and one of the highest per capita rates of measles. Last year alone, 7 kids and adults died from the disease. After easing the law requiring parents to vaccinate their kids, the populist government has now decided to enforce it, saying parents must present proof their children have been vaccinated.
And you know, we got Kelly Townsend here in Arizona who's like screaming and yelling, oh, it's just kind of like it's like the Jews, and we're going to make people have to tattoo stuff on their, comparing tattoos for IDs similar to Holocaust victims and vaccinations meant to ward off diseases. It's just, so what? What are you trying to say? And I'm a liberty person, right? If you don't want to give your child a vaccination, I got no problem with that. I have no problem with that. I totally get it. Right? Whether it's your religion, no matter what it is, right? I get it. Go ahead, knock yourself out. You do you, and I do me. I got zero problems with that. My problem is, though, where everybody's like, you don't have to give your kid a vaccination. Your kid gets to do everything. There's my issue, right? There's my issue. And while I may be vaccinated, right? Is my little one vaccinated? Is my cousin who's got cancer vaccinated? And with a compromised immune system, and they can't, that's the issue I have. When your freedoms and liberties start to impede on mine, there's the problem I think a lot of people have. You got a kid in Oregon, right? 57 days in the hospital. Gets cut on his head. He's 6 years old. Mom and dad are like, hey, we're going to totally take care of this. Gets worse. They notice, hey, kid's spazzing out muscle-wise, and he can't open his jaw. Oh, he's got tetanus. Doctor says, I've been a doctor for 30 years. We've eradicated this. I thought I'll never see this in my life. And lo and behold, there it is. 57 days. In ICU for days. Here's how they did him with ICU. In the hospital, in a dark room, with no visual stimulation whatsoever, and they wouldn't even talk to him. And when they did have to talk to him, they whispered because they didn't want him to be upset and to trigger him. 15 days out of that, he has to go to like physical therapy to get back moving in the whole 9 yards. Mom and dad, you going to get him vaccinated? Nope. Oh, by the way, that's $800,000. Little things. When your freedoms impede on my potential freedoms and my health or my family member's health, there's an issue I have. And it's about critical mass. That's just it. And maybe schools start saying this. Because we were talking about it earlier. I was talking about it with one of the other producers here. And I said to Pablo, I said, he goes, do you remember when you were a kid and you had to show your vaccination card and they wouldn't let you in school and all these things? Yeah. I mean, if you're coming here now and you want to be a citizen of the United States, you have to be vaccinated. I'm not going to let you in. I look around here and I say to myself, okay, what's the critical mass? What's the tipping point? Is it because this place in Oregon, almost 8% of the kids going to school now aren't vaccinated. That's not critical mass. You need it at a certain level. So do you say this school has to be 97%, 98% vaccinated? And anybody who comes after that, if they're not vaccinated, they don't get in? They homeschool? I don't know what it is. But we need to do something. And because I look around and when you hear people talk about things that are worrisome, when you hear scientists and stuff say, they're always worried, like, there could be something. And I've always said this, Earth at some point in time is going to decide she don't want us anymore. We could talk about climate change, global warming. At some point in time, she may decide I don't like you guys here. But when you go back and look through history, it's certain situations that spread. And we have a situation now where it's just we shouldn't be putting people in bad situations. That's it. It's not that hard. It's not. It's not. But we make it hard because we are a hold your beer nation. And we decided, hey, religious freedom, all of that stuff, it's your body, it's your temple. If you don't want to put anything in it, that's fine. But this is my body, my temple. Just because you don't want to put something in there that you don't think is going to help you and you think that it's going to give you autism, your child autism, whatever it is, it's okay. But then you potentially are impeding on my temple, my body, and other people whom I may be around who have a compromised immune system. What do we do? 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You can tweet at us. Man, did I get no sleep last night. My pillow's being washed. I was exhausted. It was just one of those nights. No sleep whatsoever. And I thought to self, make sure you take your go anywhere pillow because you're going to be gone for a couple days. And boy, that's what I did. I'm very excited that I'm going to be out like a light tonight. Very excited. My pillow is incredible. I didn't believe it when they came to me. I believe it now. I am a believer. I was a big skeptic. I'm a skeptic about a lot of things. It's not the hype. It's the real thing. Try it yourself. You got a money-back guarantee going on right now. 100% machine washable and dryable, made in the USA. 10-year warranty. And again, nothing to lose. 4 pillows, 2 premium pillows, 2 go anywhere pillows, half the price. Free shipping. And again, money-back guarantee going on right now. You got to hurry, though. You're not going to find this deal anywhere else. 800-944-4975. Or go to mypillow.com. Use promo code Benson. It's mypillow.com. Promo code Benson. 800-944-4975. mypillow.com. Promo code Benson. It's the Chad Benson Show.
Chad Benson Show, where we make no apologies, although we do say a few Hail Marys and Our Fathers now and then. Amen.
A week after the documentary Leaving Neverland debuted on HBO,
everybody wanted to meet Michael or be with Michael.
We're seeing a bump for sales and streams of Michael Jackson's music. Billboard says Jackson's combined song and album sales spiked 10% in the last week, and streams were up 6%. One possible reason many Jackson fans are showing their support for the former king of pop. Not showing support, though, radio. Billboard says stations played 13% fewer Jackson songs in the days after the doc. The Jackson estate says the abuse claims in Leaving Neverland are lies.
Why would you buy that? Well, I'm supporting him. I don't get it. Even Corey Feldman, who defended him, came out and said, I can't defend him anymore. I just can't. Not saying anything happened between him and Michael Jackson. Like I said, I think the Feldmans of the world back when he and Jackson were friends, and you know, Macaulay Culkin and Emmanuel Webster, who's those guys were so popular and they were famous on their own. It wasn't the same thing. Who's buying this music? Are you afraid it's going to go away? In this day and age, where we will take somebody out of a movie, Kevin Spacey, right? So we'll remove him from a film, and people are still going out and buying his music. It's like it's insane. It is absolutely just, it makes me shake my head. I wonder about people. I do. I absolutely wonder about what people are thinking. Because those same people, would you let your kids stay with them? No. But I'm supporting him. And I guess I think this week, what's his name? The guy that dated Ariana Grande, Pete Davidson, is that his name? I think it's his name. He even talked about, because he made fun of R. Kelly in the church and the whole 9 yards. Church wasn't very happy about that, but deal with it, because look what you guys have done. You guys are Michael Jackson and R. Kelly, but with no good music. Can you put them in different boxes? Can you admire the artist and hate the deed? That's a question. It is. For me, it's too tough. Here's where I can do it with not R. Kelly, because R. Kelly, first of all, R. Kelly is crazy. He needs to go to jail for a very long time. The guy's got a lot of real problems. It is what it is, right? I can look at Michael Jackson, the kid, and the Jackson 5, and I can listen to that music without saying, ugh. But Jackson music? No, can't do it. Can't. When he's just Michael Jackson, cannot Do it. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. By the way, President Trump has released his budget.
This great progress is threatened by our unsustainable national debt, which has nearly doubled under the previous administration and now stands at more than $22 trillion.
Yeah, and the debt he has, which is not going to go anywhere, by the way. He releases his budget. Everybody will laugh at it. He wants all this money for the wall. It's going to add another $4+ trillion onto the deficit. Debt is not a good situation. And I sit here and I look at this thing, but there was something said. This is Russell Vought who was talking about this, and this right here, Thomas Sowell talks about it all the time. Don't look at the how much tax you're taking in. Look at the spending. That's the issue we've always had. That's what we talk about here all the time. I don't care how much you're bringing in. What are you spending?
Washington has a spending problem, and it endangers the future prosperity of our nation for generations to come.
Yeah. That right there is the biggest thing. Because if you bring in $1 and you spend $2, that's an issue. And that's what we tend to do. We bring in $1 and we spend $1.30. And the next year we bring in $1.10 or $1.20 or even $1.30 and we spend $1.50, 60 or 70. There is our problem. Absolutely. Daddy needs to take our credit cards away. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Also the Instagram as well. Had some cool pictures up from this past week. Check them out at Chad Benson Show. It is the Chad Benson Show.
This is the Chad Benson Show. Independent in thoughts and punk rock in life. It's the Chad Benson Show.
Capitalism
is awesome.
To me, it's an ideology of capital. It puts capital, the most important thing is the concentration of capital, and it means that we seek and prioritize profit and the accumulation of money above all else, and we seek it at any human and environmental cost.
Capitalism is awesome. It's amazing. You have all these wonderful things because of capitalism. You can gram, that's what the kids call the Instagram, Ocasio, because of capitalism. You can Facebook, you can tweet. Socialism didn't give you that. Communism didn't give you that. Marxism didn't give you that. Capitalism gave you that. Now, we can debate, because you talk about capitalism in a way, you're at South by Southwest, there's your film, everybody's loving on you, they're giving you the platform to talk, and let me tell you why. All these other crazy, flamethrower, people on the right who are going to get on there, oh, she's stupid. She's not. She's not. She's not stupid. She's not an idiot. She's not. I don't agree with a lot of what she says, but she's not a moron. She's been indoctrinated through school. She looks around and she says, oh man, this is all horrible, and look at all this thing, and it's greed. Let me tell you how capitalism should work. It's free market, right? That's the reason that things are so ridiculous when it comes to our health care is because that isn't free market. It's not free market there. Right? There's so much crap to go through. There's no free market. You got lobbyists here and you got lobbyists there. She talked about how much money is in our government. I agree with her.
But there's also, again, in the public imagination, a lot of fear-mongering about what democratic socialism means, that it's like that government's going to take over the private sector. In fact, in my opinion, we should be scared right now because corporations have taken over our government.
And the reason for that is because governments allowed it. If you guys didn't take the money, it's like the drug epidemic, right? If we didn't do the heroin and all of the stuff that we do, guess what? Cartels would have nowhere to sell it here in America. We consume it. If government collectively said, we're not taking any more money for lobbyists, we're not going to do this anymore, we're going to be about the people, the free market would work well. It's crony capitalism. It is. But capitalism is still better. You don't think socialism has cronyism? My God, look at Venezuela. And why it matters is because she's not just the one that, she's the new shiny object, as some people said. Yeah, she is in some ways. But there's a lot of young kids in America that are looking at her and saying, I like what she says, because they've been through the same school, the same indoctrination at a college level, and they're buying into all of it. Right? Listen to this. This is a new poll. Millennials and Gen Z. Government should provide universal health care. 66.7% is the total, but millennials and Gen Z, 73.2%. Government should provide free tuition. Total, 56.2%. Millennials and Gen Z, 67%. See where this is going? They are all into this stuff, right? Once you break it down for them and you say, okay, that sounds great. So you want free college, right? Well, they get free college in Europe. College in Europe is not college like here. There's university and there's college. Those are separate things. University and college. College, Farnborough, sixth form college where I was over there in England. It's like a junior college, like 13th grade kind of thing, right? University is Cambridge, Oxford. Those are universities. Totally different, right? Much different scenario, right? But we'll go with it. You want health care. Health care sounds great. You tell them, this is what it is. I want free health care. Okay, it's free, but you got to pay for it. Well, wait a minute. What? No way, bro. Oh, yeah, you're going to pay for it through your taxes. And not just any tax, right? We're going to pay through it for a lot of different taxes because everybody's got to participate in it. Secondly, and this is vitally important, we're going to limit your choice on where you can go. So if you're sick, this is your doctor. You can't get in to see another doctor. Here's your little precinct of doctors you can go to. There may be 3, 4, or 5. This is where you go, and we may have a shortage of doctors. And if you can't get in, you can't get in. When I was sick in England and I had my NHS card, which was National Health Insurance, I couldn't get in. And I'm looking at the people going, why can't I get in? They're like, well, this is when we can get you in. Yeah, but I'm really sick now. Well, then I guess you're going to have to go to the hospital. Like, this is ridiculous. So when you start to explain it, but when they talk about stuff, and this is where and Bernie Sanders was in Iowa. He was? Yes, he was in Iowa because, that's where you go, right? You go to Iowa when you want to make sure that everybody understands what's going on. He's getting it, right? So he goes to Iowa and he says this.
Those radical ideas that we talked about 4 years ago, well, today, virtually all of those ideas are now supported by a majority of the American people.
Because they don't know how it works, right? And once you start to explain it to them, they step it back a little bit and go, well, it all sounds nice, right? Like everything sounds great. It's like, oh, that sounds amazing. Oh, wait, what? No. And why it matters is because when you look at Ocasio-Cortez and you look at this younger generation, though, for those of you not keeping score, they are really running a lot of things, and a lot of people are nervous, and you've got 3 or 4 of them that are commanding a lot of publicity, and there's a lot of Democrats, and when there's a centrist, it's just a Democrat, and it's not enough. They came there to get some stuff done and try to work with the Republicans and try to do the best for their constituents, and they're not going to be heard because there's a movement afoot. And these people are essentially saying you're going to either get on the bus or you're going to get run over.
This tells us something else, too, how much power Nancy Pelosi does not have over the Democrats in Congress now. The Young Turks are running the show.
Yeah. But why it matters is because the young generation feels, again, having gone through all of the indoctrination through school, and we've had many progressive professors on here who wouldn't vote for Trump if he was the only person to vote for. And if they didn't vote for him, they'd lose their lives. They would not vote for Trump. Right? And guess what? They say it's an indoctrination. It's a one-sided story, and this is what it is. So they're coming into the world. They're going to be almost 40% of the voter elect in 2020. Doesn't mean they're going to show up en masse, but the reality is it's very probable that they're going to show up. And when you've got people believing these things, and you got Bernie saying these things, and they're trying to tell you it's the Nordic model, it's not the Nordic model, because the Nordics will tell you, the Swedes, the Danes, right? They'll tell you, we're not those things. We're not socialists. We tried socialism and failed us gloriously. Everybody moved away in the 70s. It was worth a damn. We didn't have any money to pay for stuff. Now what we have is everybody shares. We've got a homogenized society where everything, for all intents and purposes, is kind of the same, with high taxes, but everybody does their share. We don't have that in this country. Part of the have and have-nots is because the haves a lot of times are willing to do above and beyond and go extra, and there's a lot of people out there of the have-nots that aren't willing to do that. And here's the other thing. It's VAT, value-added tax. That's huge. Means everybody participates. You buy something for $100,000, you're going to get $25,000 in taxes on top of that. There's a lot of things that go into it, but they'll tell you they're not that way. But when you hear Bernie talk about this, remember he praised Hugo Chavez at one time. He's talked about the likes of many dictators for all the stuff he talks about, right? He's praised Noriega at times. He has praised the regime in Cuba on more than a few occasions, right? And on top of that, right, on top of all of that, he's been to the Soviet Union, not Russia, the Soviet Union. Those are the things that scare people, because those are the things, when you look at Venezuela, what socialism is. That's the moment. So, yeah, it does matter. The other people are going to sit here and tell you about, she's a ditch, she's a ding-dong. No, she's not. She's smart. She gets it. She sees the opportunity, and she knows she's got a little bit of power, and she's enjoying every second of it. But remember, the people that she's talking to have the same kind of vote you do. One vote. And there's a lot of them coming. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You can tweet at us. It is another crash for a Boeing plane, and it is not good.
It was October that another new 737 MAX 8 crashed in Indonesia. In that case, the Lion Air pilots failed to disengage the autopilot when faulty readings engaged a nose-down safety system. Now, 2 crashes of this new jet in service for less than 2 years.
So that's the scary thing. So these are new jets. When you hear a lot of these places like, Indonesia or Ethiopia, and you hear about these jets and you say to yourself, these places have horrible records. And many of them do. Africa has an awful record. And I've been through some Eastern European airlines where I will tell you right now, it's uncomfortable. You're thinking to yourself, probably not going to make it. Probably not going to make it. Ethiopian Air is the national airlines of Ethiopia. This is a brand new airplane from Boeing. It's they call it an 8 MAX or MAX 8, Phil? I'm not quite sure. 737
MAX 8.
AMAX? Okay. The second crash. Southwest, a good majority of their airplanes are this airplane. American Airlines have a lot of these airplanes. We are not grounding them. They said they're going to continue to fly with them. Producer Phil and I were talking about it earlier. He says you'd like to think that it's more often than not, it is an error, not mechanical, but human when it comes to situations like this. Who knows what Boeing's going to find? But you get why people get scared of stuff like this. It is terrifying. It is. I flew last week, and man, we had some gnarly turbulence, and it was only an hour-and-a-half flight. It was nasty. It was. Couldn't even imagine what these people went through. Could not even imagine what they went through. But people are already calling up Southwest. How do I find out what kind of plane you have? Because if you have this airplane, I don't want to fly. And this is causing a problem for them. Already having a problem on the tail of last week, fighting with the maintenance, saying it's unsafe and they have safety issues. So this could put a hurting on you. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You can tweet at us. Nancy Pelosi says no to impeachment. She just knows. I mean, this is where the Nancy, you look at somebody like Nancy Pelosi and you go, she's politically astute. You don't have to like her, but she's politically astute and she gets it. And she's looking around saying, no, there's nothing in it. There's a loss here and we're going to end up with egg on our face and everybody's going to be mad at us. And if it goes really south and the economy dumps, he can look right at us and say, this is all your fault, even though another group of people really want him gone. But she says it's not worth it. I get that. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Blink. Blink. I like Blink. I got my Blink. So I got all my lizards, and I have my Blink, right? It's home security. It's incredible. I love it. So I've got my Blink, and I tell you what, it is really amazing what you can do with Blink. Not only does it, it's out there protecting your home. You can see who's coming and who's going, all of these kind of things, which is vitally important. On top of that, though, you can look inside your house and you have that live feed. It's awesome. And I have a lot of stuff delivered during the week because I'm kind of addicted to Amazon. So I like to know that people aren't stealing stuff off my porch. My neighbor down the street, guess what? People are stealing stuff off the porch. Now, if I'm not there and stuff arrives, I tell my neighbor, please go pick it up for me, and they will. It's that simple. Blink is incredible. What are you waiting for? They got amazing cameras. Their indoor outdoor cameras are incredible. And check this out. Motion activated, easy to set up, wire free, set up in minutes, run on 2 lithium batteries for up to 2 years. Right now, Blink outdoor XT camera systems are an impressive 20% off. But here's the deal. Sale ends March 16th at midnight Eastern. Visit blinkprotect.com/sale. That's blinkprotect.com/sale. Blinkprotect.com/sale. Blink is an Amazon company, and it works with Alexa. At Chad Benson Show, Twitter, CHADBENSON. It's the Chad Benson Show.
Being antisocial sucks. Hang with Chad's friends on Facebook, The Chad Benson Show. And if you just need some alone time, head on over to Twitter at Chad Benson Show. Either way, we can't wait to meet the real you.
When you can't defend the perpetrator, what you do is you indict the system, and that's what his defense strategy is going to be. Mark Garagos and all the other attorneys and all the teams and all of the crisis managers will try to turn this into indict the system, indict the police, indict the prosecutors.
Yeah, they're talking about Jesse Smollet and what he's going to face. 16 felony counts here, which seems like a ridiculous amount. And he'll plead, he says he's going to plead not guilty. I don't know what's going to happen. I mean, we got, what's his name? Manafort getting 47 months. He'll probably do 3 years, if that. And he's got to be sentenced in the next week or two, and he faces some more time in jail. I don't know how much they're going to give him. That's where they may come and hammer him, even though everybody thought he was going to be hammered over here. But this is one of those things where this guy's facing 16 felony counts. And so when you're in a situation like this, right, you got to go after what you think you can do. So what you need to do is paint the Chicago police, which was what they were already pissed off about. Remember how angry they were at the way that they were treated, right? And then everybody said, well, maybe it's not true, but the Chicago police is bad and they're dirty anyways. Look at all the things that they've done. You can get that in there. That's kind of what they're hoping that they can do, is they can paint a picture. That may be true. There may be issues in the Chicago Police Department. I don't doubt it. I'm sure across the country there's issues in a lot of police departments. That doesn't take away what this guy did. And it's going to cost him. I don't think he should do any jail time. I don't. People say, well, do you think he should do? No, I don't think he should do any jail time. Absolutely not. I think what he should face is probably some house arrest, pay a fine, and have to apologize on numerous occasions to numerous people about being an idiot. But there's better things to do than to spend hundreds and thousands of millions of dollars than to throw this guy away in jail forever. He's already in jail, even though he's out in front of everybody, because he's embarrassed as hell. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Speaking of somebody who won't back down, because he won't back down. Talk a little Tucker, I guess. Yeah, well, talk a lot of stuff, man. Kids, we're busy today. We got so much stuff. Chad Benson Show.
The Chad Benson Show.
independent in thought, and punk rock in life. It's the Chad Benson Show.
I don't watch much cable television. I don't do it because I like myself and I got better things to do. I got a life, got a family, the whole 9 yards. So I don't really watch a lot of it. But I've interviewed Tucker and, he's somewhat interesting. I've read his book. I find him to be interesting. But, in the day and age that we live now, and we talked about it this past week. I was gone for a few days and was at this conference for talk radio people. We did a panel and several well-known talk show hosts. I was on the panel with, and we discussed this and just the pitfalls of not only social media but things you've done in your past. Right? No matter what the context was, things that you've done in your past are going to come back now because we have this want and need to find something that somebody has done. And we wait to a certain time, and we've seen it with baseball players, right? Going out to make their first start in Major League Baseball. Then all of a sudden, out of nowhere comes all these tweets. Somebody gets, an opportunity to host the Oscars. Something's been out there 10 years, but it's brought to the front. It doesn't matter. People are looking for that gotcha moment, and they're willing to sandbag those things. Well, now it is front and center for Tucker. And he is handling it in a much different way. He was on, was several years ago, and he was still with MSNBC, with Bubba the Love Sponge. And at the time, it was, I think Bubba was on Sirius XM or one of those things. And he talked about just a plethora of things like Warren Jeffs. Remember that sweet, awesome character? Yeah, that horrible human being. But talked about Warren Jeffs and what the ridiculousness is that he's going to jail.
Warren Jeffs didn't marry underage girls.
No, he's in prison for facilitation of child rape.
Whatever the hell that means. That means he's in prison because he's weird.
No, he's an accessory to the rape of children. That is a felony, and a serious one at that.
What do you mean an accessory? He's got some weird religious cult where he thinks it's okay to, marry underage girls, but he didn't do it. Why wouldn't the guy who actually did it, who had sex with an underage girl, he should be the one who's doing life? So that got people's attention, right? Because this came out of nowhere. Then they talk about, there's a difference between rape and this. In our state, that's bull. I'm sorry. Now, this guy may be so maybe he's not racist. I'm just telling you that arranging a marriage between a 16-year-old and a 27-year-old is not the same as pulling a stranger off the street and raping her. That's bullshit.
Yeah. Whoa. He also went on to say, hey, look, let me tell you something. This person's making a commitment, right? Somebody who rapes you doesn't make a commitment. This person's making a commitment to take care of you for the rest of your life. But he didn't stop there. Talked about Alexis Stewart. And Bubba the Love Sponge, in fairness, and for those of you guys who don't know, I think Martha Stewart had or still has a Sirius channel. And one of my producers knows Miss Alexis Stewart and says everything they said here is pretty much spot on.
You debate politics with a woman, especially feminists. You're talking to a feminist, and she's giving you, men really need to be more sensitive. And this, actually, men don't need to be more sensitive. You just need to be quiet and kind of do what you're told.
And lighten up a little bit, bitch.
They love it.
Alexis Stewart, we run into her all the time.
She seems awful.
Yeah, she is awful. They're very
She seems extremely.
Oh, using the C word there. Using the C word. Right? Some of the other things he said.
Well, I love women, but they're extremely primitive. They're basic. They're not that hard to understand.
Now, he's not walking this back and says, you know what, I said it. I'm not going to walk it back. I'm not going to do any of those things. It is what it is. I'm not walking it back. There you go. What do you think of that? Of course, he's getting hammered for it today. Trending is fire Tucker and boycott, Fox and all of this stuff. The world that we live in is a landmine because somebody's always out to get you because they don't like what you say. And I've talked about this on numerous occasions and the craziness of this day and age where, 20 years ago, if somebody didn't agree with you, the whole thought process is I want to show you that what you're thinking is antiquated, what you're thinking is wrong. Let me give you a different viewpoint and let me give you a different facts and different narrative on what you're hearing, and I'm going to try to change you into my thinking, right? Nowadays, it's let's just punish. We don't want to just punish you. We want to destroy you. We don't want you to exist anymore. We want to take away every opportunity for you to earn a living anywhere, period, case closed. He's on with Bubba the Love Sponge. First of all, the fact that Tucker went on there, he probably didn't think, 5, 6, 8, 10 years from now, this is going to get me in so much hot water. It's Bubba the Love Sponge. This is the guy who let Hulk Hogan sleep with his wife. So kind of you're going on this show. You should kind of figure out what you're getting here and what you're going to do. Do I think it's right or wrong? I don't know the guy. Was he being funny? Was he saying crazy things to get a reaction? Yeah, you can't even do that anymore. You can't even do that anymore. Like I say, I don't know him personally. Interviewed him a couple times. Seems to be a nice guy. In his book, I find it to be very interesting. He talks about kind of what a bit of an elitist he is and the blessed life he's come from. But as far as this stuff goes, look, this is causing them hell, and he's not backing down from it. And that's one of the things that I think in any of these situations that has to happen anymore is if we're going to fight these things, meaning every time that somebody says something that somebody else doesn't like, and we're like, we need to boycott so-and-so show, we need to get him fired, we need to get her fired. If that's going to happen, and you do it over and over again, groups are going to understand that you are owned by them now. You are essentially their puppet. And it's when other groups who are working with these, people who knows Tucker Carlson or any of these people stand up and say, you know what, we're not going to do that. We're just not going to do it. Because what ends up happening is the more that you sit there and say we're not going to do it, the less of an impact they have. But if you continue to allow these things to happen, again, how much of that was real and how much of that was him playing the audience and having fun with somebody? That I don't know. But he's refusing to back down from it, and I find that to be very interesting in this day and age. Very interesting in this day and age. In fact, CNN's got Tucker refuses to apologize for his misogynistic remarks. Well, we'll find out what happens, and we'll find out if money is going to be the end-all to be-all. Because some people will back away from him because that's just what they're going to say is, hey, we don't really want to be associated with this. We're going to back away from him a little bit. Totally understand that. You may not want your product to be associated with somebody who said those kind of things. But a lot of times what happens is people back away and then they look around and they go, all right, well, nobody's paying attention. We'll come back to you because there's a lot of eyeballs on you. And our whole thing is we need to reach as many people. And often the people that are saying, don't watch this guy, he's a horrible human being, have never watched this guy. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You could tweet at us. Love hearing from each and every one of us. So the reason I talked about AOC earlier is because, again, the Young Turks, this young group of people, of the 40 Democrats, 36 of them, 35 of them or so were moderate Democrats that have come in to politics who aren't insane. But this young group is really moving the needle. And they've even got people in their own party scared. Think about that. We're talking about Tucker Carlson. They've got people inside their own party who are scared to say anything against them. But she was at South by Southwest talking about America.
The thing that is really hard for people to sometimes see is that when we are on this path of a slow erosion and a slow, just like move away from what we've always been, we'll be 100 miles. You'll realize, you won't even realize that you've drifted 100 miles. So when someone's talking about our core, it's like, oh, this is radical. But this isn't radical. This is what we've always been. Mm-hmm. It's just that now we've strayed so far away from what has really made us powerful.
What? That's the way I looked at it. You said, what? So we've always been that way, but then we've eroded ourselves and we've become this way. How much better are we?
And so I think all of these things sound radical compared to where we are, but where we are is not a good thing. And this idea of like 10% better from garbage shouldn't be what we settle for.
So we're garbage? Is that what you're saying? We're garbage? Is that where we're going? First, let's just talk about what America is. From the high standard of living, right? So we got this huge standard. We have our people here in this country who are poor. Many of them have air conditioning, right? They've got air conditioning. They've got cell phones. People who are middle class and in some upper class in certain countries don't have those things. We have an obesity epidemic, good, bad, or indifferent, in this country amongst people who are poor. Can we do better? Absolutely. But this is just what politics is. Politics is how can we make the other side look like the boogeyman? What I've noticed from a younger generation, and when I posted that picture the other day about Venezuela, I got so many people saying this is all America's fault. Is America, for a lot of these people, is the boogeyman now. It's not policies. It's the country itself is the boogeyman. We are bad. We are evil. Right? Our association with Israel. America's bad, the sides we choose. Venezuela, the same thing. They're only in the situation, the predicament they're in, not because Maduro has done anything wrong. He's done everything right. It's the reality is America and many other people who are afraid of America has transpired to destroy places like Venezuela. There's it's always America. There's this America's fault crowd that's out there. And it's really interesting. And they're the ones who inherently want to change what we are, who we are. Our founding fathers were never worried about the outside. They were worried about the inside. They were never worried about foreign invaders. They were never worried about people coming here from across the oceans to overthrow us. They were more worried about us on the inside, tearing ourselves down. Is it happening? I think calmer, cooler heads will prevail. But are there people out there that look at America and want it to be transformed into something completely different? They enjoy all of the stuff that America is giving them, but they want to act like America didn't give it to them, and they want to take it and move it into a place that I find it to be uncomfortable. I do. And I'm as free, as open-minded thinking as anybody. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You can tweet at us. Love hearing from you. Think about this for a second.
Ernest Quintana's family says they're scarred forever after receiving devastating news this week.
There's not a lot of lungs for us to work with.
Okay.
Heart's struggling.
Ernest's family knew he was dying of chronic lung disease, but they say they were surprised to get the following grim news by way of a video call with a live doctor.
I don't know if he's going to get home.
Annalicia Wilharm was with her grandfather at Kaiser Permanente Medical Center in Fremont, California, and quickly brought to tears.
And they're getting hammered for this because it's essentially they've rolled this this little itty bitty, looks like a tablet. And there's the doctor on the other side, and he's telling, it's not a robot, it's a robot. Hello, you are dying. It's not that. If you're going to hear that news, though, and this is a doctor that apparently he's worked with, would you rather hear it from him or somebody you don't know? That's a very interesting question. Would you rather hear from him? And this is where medicine is going. Medicine is going to areas like this where it's going to be telemedicine because it's going to be cheaper. It's going to be better for people to get in and out, whether it's going to be like this and it feels impersonal. I understand that. But would you rather hear it from your doctor via this or from somebody else who maybe you've not really worked with? 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You can tweet at us. Butcher Box, highly delicious, high quality meat. It's going to blow you away. It's incredible. Really, really. It's unbelievable flavor, unparalleled nutrition. They work with only the best farms and companies committed to raising animals humanely, right? Ethically. There's a process there in the way they do things that ensures better quality, better tasting, more nutrient-dense meat. Here's the great thing. No added hormones, no antibiotics, grass-fed, grass-finished beef, free organic ranging chickens and wild-caught sockeye salmon. They have the best pork around. It is incredible. And they've got over 20 cuts of meat to choose from. Customized boxes with a variety of other options to choose from. You know what you can do? You can get this delivered to your home today. Meat coming to your home. You know where you can't get this? Venezuela. There's no meat coming to the home. Here, this. It's capitalistic, tasty beef and chicken. That's what I love about it. Butcher Box comes at an affordable price. Free shipping. Month's worth of the best tasting meat. Less than $6 a meal. Here's the great thing. My listeners right there, This is what ButcherBox is doing for you. Order today. For the life of your subscription, you're going to get free ground beef, and you get $20 off your first box when you sign up at butcherbox.com/Chad. That's butcherbox.com/Chad. Butcherbox.com/Chad. It's the Chad Benson Show.
Running with scissors sounds great compared to this.
Say what?
There is no time for fear in a situation like that. You have to use your instinct.
Reiner Schimpf has been inside a whale and lived to tell the tale. Schimpf, a dive tour operator, was documenting a routine sardine run 25 miles off the coast of South Africa when he was swept into the mouth of a bride's whale. You can see half of Schimpf's body hanging out of the mammal.
It got dark, and I felt some pressure on my hip and instantly knew a whale had grabbed me.
Yeah. It's pretty awesome. You can see him sticking halfway out. They're biggins, by the way, for those of you not keeping score. They're biggin whales, up to about 50 feet, give or take. Yeah. He just kind of accidentally took a bite. He was looking at us like, oh, my God, this is disgusting. I didn't order human. Human is gross. Why would anybody eat human?
Bride's whales can reach up to 55 feet and can weigh up to 60,000 pounds.
And the next moment, I kind of felt that the whale was turning either way and that the pressure was released. And then I was washed out of the mouth. In all the years, never ever a situation occurred like that. And I'm sure it was a surprise for the whale as well. It was an interesting experience for me, but surely nothing I want to do again.
Yeah, I wouldn't do it again either. I wouldn't recommend that for those of you not keeping score. And again, it was looking for sardines. It had him. Nature will mess you up. At this occasion, everybody walked away and said, all right, you do you, I'll do me. You taste gross. Say what? 323-538-2423. Somebody tweeted in and said, Chad, you should call all people who don't like Ocasio-Cortez right-wing nut jobs. I'm not. I think a lot of what she has to say is just a bunch of dribble. But a lot of people I work with and know who are right-wing, the way they treat her and the things they say about her is insane and what they focus on. They don't see the bigger picture. It's just easy to jump on that craziness right there. And some of them are crazy. I'll be honest with you. Some of them are. 323-538-2423. Sleep, vitally important. You need to get some. MyPillow's where you get it. 100% machine washable, dryable, made in the USA, backed by a 10-year warranty. It is absolutely amazing. They've got a deal of the year going on. Money back guarantee going on right now. 4 pillows, 2 premium pillows, 2 Go Anywhere pillows, half the price, free shipping. 800-944-4975. Go to mypillow.com. Use promo code Benson. I will tell you this right now. I've got my Go Anywhere pillow. I'm going to be out like a light tonight. I didn't get a lot of sleep. Traveled a lot the last week or two. I need it. I love it. You will do the same. Put your skepticism to the test. You got nothing to lose right now. Money back guarantee going on. Get your pillows from MyPillow. 800-944-4975 or visit mypillow.com. Promo code is Benson. 4 pillows, 2 premium pillows, 2 Go Anywhere pillows, half the price, free shipping. mypillow.com. Promo code Benson. At Chad Benson Show. Twitter. ChadBenson. It's the Chad Benson Show.
This is the Chad Benson Show. Independent in thoughts and punk rock in life. It's the Chad Benson Show.
Those radical ideas that we talked about 4 years ago, well, today virtually all of those ideas are now supported by a majority of the American people.
Bernie Sanders right there, South by Southwest, which is where you have to go, and he's in Iowa, and he's, all of these things that he's been out there doing all of these things, talking about all that stuff. Everywhere he goes, these ideas are supported by the American people. They're really not. They all, look, everybody likes the idea of everybody having health care, so we all support that. Then we find out what goes into getting everybody health care. Everybody steps back and says, well, I'm not quite sure I'm really into that. Right? Like, it all sounds good. Right? We all want to be that. It's like, hey, everybody wants to be fit and thin and sexy. And everybody's like, yeah! Here's what you have to do. You have to work out almost daily. You have to watch what you eat. Be like, oh, that doesn't sound like fun. I like the idea of it. But then when you break it down, I'm like, not really a fan of it. And why this matters is because we have a younger generation. Now, this is a new poll out by Axios. And they're embracing socialism. And one of the big reasons they're embracing it in such a way, yes, the indoctrination, especially in particular through high school, but really into college, and these young minds are seeing these kind of things, they're hearing this, they're getting one side of a tale, one side of this is what it's like out there. They're getting only one side. But also, they've never experienced it. They've never seen it. There was no wall in their lifetime. The wall that we speak of today is the wall being built supposedly on the southern border that Trump's building up, and he's evil and bad. There was a wall before that, and it was in Berlin. And it wasn't to keep people from going, ooh, I got to get to that socialism. It was to stop people from going, I got to get away from the socialism. Nobody was trying to keep people out of the East, like, oh, man, we got so much of this great socialism. We better keep it for ourselves, not let anybody have it. We better build a wall because everybody's going to come over here and go, I want some of your socialism. We're like, we better build a big wall because they're going to come over here. No, it wasn't for that. They didn't understand that. They see China today and they think, oh, I can go to China, right? That'll be fun. We got a lot of kids here from China at school and college. They seem like good people, right? They seem to have all the stuff. Right? They don't understand that they don't really have the freedoms you think they have when they go back home. North Korea is just some far-off land that's just in some weirdness that they've never even going to think about because it's some sort of dark, evil nightmare of a cloud over a country with a crazy little guy, and they don't think of that as socialism. And Venezuela, well, I mean, God, Bernie, you heard him there. He praised Chavez at one time. You don't hear him talking about it now. When people say, it's about the Nordic model, man, you don't get it, dude. It's about the Nordic model. And I laugh and I say, okay, so they're socialists? Yep. Well, they say they're not. Well, they're lying. They're not lying. They're not. They're a free market capitalistic society that happens to have a very healthy, womb to tomb welfare state that they give everybody because they have everybody has skin in the game. But everybody's pulling in the same direction. Everybody's abilities are virtually the same. They're all educated, right? You're not going to find this huge gap in education there. And it has very little to do with everybody gets to go to college for free. You know, they have school choice as children. Well, they do. Yeah. They don't have a minimum wage. Oh, they do. They don't have a death tax. What? Yeah. It's crazy, right? But a younger generation doesn't understand it. When you break it down to them, they go, oh, well, that doesn't sound very good. But when you tell them in the quick Cliff Notes version, you get everything you've ever dreamed of, ever, and you get it for free, they're like, woo, that sounds awesome. Oh, by the way, you'll have very limited choice in things like healthcare. Oh, wait, what do you mean we have limited choice? Well, you're not going to have a choice. I've been in the national healthcare system. I have been part of the NHS. If you know what the NHS is, that's National Health Services. I have been there. I had my card when I lived in England. I had to go see a doctor. Here's where I could go. Here. What if I was really sick? Here. What if I can't get in? Here. But I can't get into this place. Here's where you're going to go. But I can't get in. That's not our problem. Oh, that's the way it works. Yeah. It all sounds great until you start to unfold it and take it out of the package and they go, oh, well, it's not quite what it is supposed to be. But a younger generation is really into it. And according to the new poll, they're into it big time. Millennials, Gen Z, 73% want government-run health care. 67% want tuition-free college. 50% prefer living in a socialist country. 43% want to get rid of ICE. These are the things because they don't understand it. They don't get it. But when you break it down to them, they're smart enough to realize that doesn't sound like something I want to be a part of. They all want something free. It's like all these people say, oh, rich people should pay their fair share. All the rich people that say that. And there's something on your taxes where you can pay more, right? The heir of the Disney's like, no, Jesus shouldn't even have this kind of money, she said, about how much money she has. Well, then give it all away. Nobody's stopping you from giving it away. It's always good for somebody else. People who want socialism in the way that people, and I don't think they want to be Venezuela, but I think they like a lot of what Venezuela was trying to do. And I think the hubris is a lot of this younger generation and a lot of these people. Remember, Bernie is, when he talks about socialism, we're not like that. You're not a free market capitalist. You're not. You've praised everybody from Fidel Castro to you've been to the Soviet Union when it was the Soviet Union. You've praised the likes of Hugo Chavez. That's not like, hey, I think the Danes are really good people and I kind of like what they're doing. So you can understand where some people go, I'm a little curious about this. It's just a smidge. But when you have a younger generation that is so buying into this, only learning one thing, frustrated, coming out in negative wealth because of the expense of college. And I tried to explain this the other day to somebody. There's college and there's university. In Europe, university's good. College is JC. Right? Cambridge is a university. College is a sixth form. So there's a difference there when you hear about, they go to college for free. College, university, separate things. Yeah, it's scary that this younger generation that will make up almost 40% as far as voting goes in 2020, think about these things. They do. Their big things are mass shootings, racial equality, and the treatment of immigrants. Healthcare, global warming, climate change. It's interesting. It really is. But they all want something free till they find out it's not free the way that they thought it was going to be free. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You could tweet at us. Love hearing from you. It was awful. It was horrible. They're still trying to figure out exactly what took place yesterday with the Ethiopian Airlines.
Sorting out this site, this huge site, stretches on for a large distance, and you can smell the scorched earth. You can smell decomposing bodies.
Yeah, it is horrific. China, Indonesia, and several other European countries are now jumping in as well, saying that they're not going to be flying this airplane. And Ethiopian Air, and think about this, the average person, we're all a bit of control freaks, right? You know, we like to be in charge. Get in the car with somebody who doesn't like potentially the way you drive and the moves you're making inside of the car, and they'll squeeze a little tighter, they'll kick their feet out. Now let's move that up 37,000 feet and put potentially out of the 250 people, 100 people that feel that way. You know, you're 33,000 feet in the air plus. There's no, hey, let's pull over. But this airplane that Ethiopian Air was flying was not some plane, because a lot of these small carriers and these carriers through places like Africa, they don't have what we have, right? They don't have the kind of safety measurements, same thing with Europe, that they go through. But Ethiopia Air was one of those ones that was a forward thinker, that was easily the best of the group of people flying and operating. It was the National Airlines of Ethiopia. And you've got a brand new airplane. This airplane wasn't one of those things that's, because I've gotten on some airplanes and I thought to myself, I have a feeling that Plane and I are near the same age. I just feel like in some of these smaller carriers, man, I have flown in some places in Europe where I thought we may get there. Was it Ron White said? I don't know how far this plane's going to go, but I do know we're going to be the first one at the crash. That's the way I felt before. I flew this past week with American. Great. Airplane's great. The whole 9 yards. You know, it's a new one. This plane was a new plane. This is a second plane to go down. But there is that something, that it's that control thing. It's that psychology of being in the air. And this was a clear day. And how it crashed, it seems to be that, what did you say, Phil? It wasn't a bug. It was a function of the airline.
It's not a bug. It's a feature.
It's a feature because it seems like what they're saying is the plane took off and somewhere along the line, the plane said, I'm going to do this. And the pilot says, no, I want you to do this. And the plane says, nope, we're going to do this. And it's just terrifying. It is. I mean, yesterday I saw the turbulence, people flying from Istanbul to New York and over Maine. They just hit because you don't see it. You don't. And most turbulence are small. You don't even feel it's just like driving over a speed bump. But when you drop 20, 30 feet and it feels like you dropped a mile and people are screaming, it's terrifying because you have no control. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You can tweet at us. Love hearing from you. I've got my cat 3. For those of you who don't know who my cat 3 is, let me give you a backstory. About 2 months ago, we had this cat that shows up in our garage. We're like, he's really cool. But he's got to be somebody. He's a Maine Coon. He's just giant. He's just the sweetest cat in the world. We can find anybody from. So we took 3, but then he was just called Cat. We didn't know what to even call him. He escapes one day and gets shot in the leg. We thought, well, maybe his family's found him or something, because he got outside the house because we didn't know what to do. I didn't want to keep the cat. He shows up and he got shot in the leg and he ends up losing his leg. Nobody wants him. The people, they find a chip in him and they're like, we don't want him. It's going to cost too much money. I take 3. I love this cat. It's the greatest cat in the world. Just amazing. And I take care of him. And that's why I got Pretty Litter, because I love my cats. But here's the thing. For all the big lizards I have, yesterday I fed my lizards all this meat. You can't smell any of it. You can still smell the litter. And when we switched to Pretty Litter, I was like, this is amazing. It's Kitty Litter 2.0. It comes right to my door. Tiny, itty bitty bag. You're like, this thing's going to last you how long? A month? No way. Right? Here's the thing. Next level odor protection, all that stuff. You're not going to smell anything. The mess, it's incredible. No dirty clay, none of that nasty stuff. The other thing I love about this is it changes colors, which will detect the underlying illness if a cat's sick. So if your cat goes to the bathroom and it changes colors, it means something's wrong with the cat. And you get them in quick, saves you money, saves you stress, and potentially your cat's life. Get Pretty Litter. I take care of my animals the best way. This is amazing. Visit prettylitter.com. Use promo code Chad. 20% off your first order. That's prettylitter.com. Promo code Chad for 20% off. Prettylitter.com. Promo code Chad. It's the Chad Benson Show.
No fake outrage here. Just the real thing. The Chad Benson Show.
There's a budget battle getting ready to happen. So what happens is the president is going to have his own budget. He's going to release it, right? And it's a lot of, these are all the things I want. Here's my budget. And this is what I want to do. And then everybody poo-poos it because, remember, Congress controls the purse strings. And then they go from there and they try to come together with something. And there's some things in there that they may like. And there's some things that they may not like. It happens all the time. But there is this, again, fight going on over this damn wall.
Democrats are also making very clear that they still are not budging on this issue. Democratic leaders are warning the president that history will repeat itself if he tries to take on this fight again, saying, quote, we hope he learned his lesson. And the Democratic chair of the Appropriations Committee says the president's budget, quote, is not worth the paper it's written on.
Solid. That sounds like a winner right there. It's not worth the paper it's written on? What? Did you see him signing Bibles the other day? People are like, heresy! I often wonder when somebody signs you something and you're in that many, right? Like I've been places and people are like, sign this or sign that. Yeah, well, whatever. It's like, but if he was signing a Bible, he didn't, that's just weird, Second best book ever written, Donald Trump. The talk again of the potential of this may be another shutdown makes me just shake my head and say, I don't care. Like, if that's what you guys want to do, all of this is on you guys at this point in time. And it's on both sides, right? I don't care. Of all of the caring that I give, this is one of the things where I'm like, I'm taking that out of that caring bucket and putting it over here in another caring bucket. Because I don't. If you guys want to go on another one of these things where it seems to be once or twice a year and sometimes more now because this fight that is on between you two and this kind of attitude, I don't care. I don't. And if you're asked out of a job for a while, you should have known it. And you should know it's coming next year as well. Understand that. So if you don't plan for it now, that too is on you. 323-538-2423. At Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You can tweet at us. Oh, my Lord. People are texting in. I asked the question earlier, should English be the official language? Yes, I think everybody should speak English. I do. I think if you're going to live in this country, I think it helps tremendously that you learn to speak the language. And we've made it now where it's not a big deal that you don't have to. We've made it now so you don't really have to be a part and acclimate yourself and throw yourself into this country. And I don't think that's good for you, and I don't think that's good for society as a whole. And if you think it's good that we have all this crazy diversity, could you imagine two people who were married and didn't speak the same language or a language that they could at least speak together? How'd that work out? It doesn't. It doesn't. We should all be pulling in the same direction. Absolutely, it's a must. But you say that, what do you get? You're a racist. Is what it is. You can't win. You can't win. It's crazy. 323-538-2423. At Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You can tweet at us. The U.S. women's soccer team getting ready to defend their World Cup crown is now angry. Wants to talk about pay. We'll touch on that straight ahead. Chad Benson Show.
The Chad Benson Show.
Independent in thought and punk rock in life. It's the Chad Benson Show.
That's me, party people. That's you. I had 39. I checked my messages last night, and I know that it's getting worse. And I haven't checked my messages in a while, because if you know me, you're not calling me, right? Because I'm not going to answer your call unless it I know there's certain people like, okay, my mother is never going to text me, so if she's calling me, it usually means something horrific has happened, or my sister's gone off the rails again, and there's yet another child they're going to adopt. Like, that's kind of. A few people I will answer, right? Like producer Phil's calling me. It's usually because something's gone south and we need to sort it out. Something, you know what I mean? So I haven't checked my messages in forever. I have 39 messages. And they were all like, hey, don't go anywhere, because if you listen to this message, you're going to make $1 million a second forever. And I'm like, what are you talking? Oh my God, it drives me nuts. And that's where we're headed more and more in the coming years. It's going to get worse. And think about this. Think about over the next year plus, because of all of the elections and all of these measures and everything they're going to get through. You're going to be bombarded with calls. And it's, you want to make $1 billion? There it is. How can you find an app that will absolutely make it so nobody ever calls you again unless you put it on there? There's got to be an app out there somewhere that's real, because you always hear about these apps. We'll catch 99%. They don't catch 90. They catch 99% the first day, and then they don't get any after that. There's got to be an app out there somewhere. So vaccinations, very interesting what Italy is trying to do.
Parents in Italy must now present proof that children have been vaccinated if they want them to attend school or face a steep fine. The anti-vax movement in Italy has led to the country having one of the lowest vaccination rates in Europe and one of the highest per capita rates of measles. Last year alone, 7 kids and adults died from the disease. After easing the law requiring parents to vaccinate their kids, the populist government has now decided to enforce it, saying parents must present proof their children have been vaccinated.
And one of the big things is when you allow people from all over the globe to come in, and Italy has had just an absolute influx of people coming from war-torn areas, you have this issue. You absolutely have this issue. We're having an era. We've got 2,000 people that are quarantined right now that have come from south of the border, and they've got mumps, and there's a big outbreak of mumps, and they're trying to figure out a way to do this. And I'm all about liberty and freedom. But the reality is we're going to be having this debate further and further as we move forward, because when does your liberty and freedom start to encroach on my liberty and freedom, right? When does that happen? When does you not getting vaccinated put my kids at risk? When does you not getting vaccinated put my great-grandmother or grandmother at risk, or my cousin who's in the middle of cancer treatments or whatever it is? When does that start to stomp on my liberty and freedom? And that's an issue. Look, if you don't want to get your kids vaccinated, I got no problem with it, right? But if the school says that you can't come here, I also don't have a problem with that, because I get it. And here's a great story of just, it makes you shake your head. 6-year-old boy playing, cuts his head, right? 6 days later, mom and dad are like, well, little Jimmy over there is got lockjaw. He can barely breathe, and he's got involuntary muscle spasms. We need to seek help. He's got tetanus. One doctor said, I never thought in my life I would ever see it. It's been 30 years. 30 years. According to the Center for Disease Control and Prevention, since it was last seen, a pediatric tetanus. 30 years. What did it cost? Well, let's talk about that. 57 days in the hospital, some of them in intensive care, right? Some of them in intensive care, big time. Then he had to go from there to another hospital where they started slowly but surely teaching him to do some stuff and physical therapy and things of that nature. That racked up a bill of about $800,000. Now you say to yourself, well, those parents learned a lesson, right? So they're going to get him shots. No, they're not. They decided no, they weren't going to do it. They weren't going to do it. They're not going to get him shots. And you sit here and say, well, there you go. There you go. Some of the stuff he had to do. He had to be in a darkened room for weeks. He wore earplugs, no stimulation to avoid making his spasms worse. His pain was so bad, they said, the doctors took care not to trigger him even with their voices. We had to whisper. But mom and dad have said, nah, we don't want him to get whatever it is that we think he's going to get. What can you do? What can you do? I don't know. And here's my thing, and I've tried to talk to some people. It's anti-vaxxer resistance, whatever you call it. Is it only things like tetanus and measles and mumps and all this stuff? I asked somebody, what about flu shot? No, I won't get the flu shot. Now, I don't get the flu shot either because I'm in fairly good health and I work out, and it seems to always be a crapshoot. But little kids, a lot of people, I understand why they do it. I don't. If it was easier and convenient, I probably would. And I've not, there's some years I have gotten the flu shot, and some years I've gotten the flu shot and I got sick, but that just happens to be a coincidence, and it is what it is. But it's a weird thing. They're like, well, the flu is a little bit different. I'm like, oh, it's just, it's so pick and choose for a lot of these people. It's a weird thing. And I don't care that you don't get your kid vaccinated. But if my kid doesn't play with your kid, or the school where my kid goes to says it's okay that the kids are not vaccinated and maybe I want to put my kid somewhere else, you can't bitch at that. Sorry. When your freedoms and liberties impede on other people's, I'm all about people doing their own thing, right? As long as it's not hurting somebody else. When it starts to hurt other people, then there's where we have a question that we have to ask ourselves. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You can tweet at us. So last year, the World Cup took place. The World Cup, the men's World Cup. It was a great World Cup, by the way. France won it. It's just an awesome game. Just amazing World Cup across the board. This year, the Women's World Cup is going to go on, and the women, the United States of America, is defending their championship, but they're not happy about the situation they find themselves in currently.
The U.S. women's soccer team has enjoyed unparalleled success, winning 4 Olympic gold medals and 3 World Cup titles. USA! USA! Its latest in 2015, the most watched soccer game in American TV history with 23 million viewers. The men's team has never won either tournament, and yet the men earn more prize money than the women. A lot more, which is why on Friday the women's team slapped the U.S. Soccer Federation with a lawsuit, alleging gender discrimination on the basis of salary and nearly every other aspect of their working conditions.
Yeah, no, do the women have it in soccer? No, they don't. men have it so much better. And it's not like our national team men have it really well compared to the rest of the globe. They don't. Do they have it a little bit better? Yeah, a little bit. Do they make a little bit more? Yeah, they do make a little bit more. They want more pay. They're speaking out about the fact that they want more pay, that they need more pay. They say it's not fair with what's happening, and I get that. Now, the United States Soccer Federation came out and said,
U.S. Soccer released a statement pointing out that the women's national team reached a collective bargaining agreement with the organization 2 years ago, adding U.S. Soccer has faithfully and consistently worked with the U.S. women's national team players and staff to provide the team everything it needs.
Yeah, I could see that. Again, I get it. I get it. Women's sports in some ways, like the WNBA. Here's the real of this. The WNBA is not the NBA. Men's soccer is not women's soccer. It's just not. But more people watch it. Yeah, but you're thinking about just the U.S. Think about the global. They're mad because they won the World Cup and they didn't get virtually any money compared to what the men got. They got $5.5 million for reaching the round of 16 at the World Cup before last. Well, yeah, because FIFA pays it out. And which one do you think they make a ton of money off of comparatively? Let's be honest. And that's a horrible thing. Oh, but yeah, it's not the way it works. Nobody's watching the WNBA. The WNBA is a tax write-off for the NBA. They're like, hey, we got a WNBA, so we'll write it off. That'll be fantastic. Right? We're making so much money over here. We got to have it. We're going to write it off. Right? Nobody's watching that. It's just not. Right? Women's tennis. They've complained for years. And now the majors in women's tennis, all of the money, I think, is all the same. And men are complaining about that. Well, it's tough because, look, and I'm going to say this, and this is going to sound horrible, but it's true. Women's tennis is a lot more popular than, say, women's golf. Why? One, they realize the sexiness of women's tennis. They use it to their advantage. The women have big notoriety. Secondly, right, their product is much better. Men's golf's product, comparatively to the women, is a lot better. A lot of the women on the LPGA Tour, they're women from Asia who don't speak the language very good. It's a tough thing when it comes to sponsors. These are all things you're not supposed to say these things because you're evil and bad, but that's the reality of the world that we live in. And men have complained on the women's tennis circuit saying it shouldn't be equal pay. We play 5 sets. They play 3. You can make that argument. But when it comes to something like soccer, it's not going to work. And it's not like men's soccer. Like, women have pro soccer league here too. You wouldn't even know where they are. You wouldn't. We've encouraged women to play sports in this country, which is fantastic. It is. It's great. Title IX, the whole 9 yards. It's fantastic. We've encouraged. All of these other countries have gotten so much better at soccer because all of their players come over here and they go to college here where they can play and they can hone their game and where women are given an opportunity. That's great. Which has made the women's game even better. But we're the dominant force in a lot of these things because we do encourage. Our men's soccer team's been playing catch up for years and years. We're trying to catch up to a century of what everybody else has been up against. It's tough, man. It's tough. But when it comes to pay, this is where, like, I sit here and I get frustrated with people say, well, it should be equal. It's not equal. Because the best female basketball team that you can put together, you could roll out the best high school basketball team and they're going to get obliterated. There you go. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Already getting text message. You're a jerk. Yeah, I'm okay with that. Look, sometimes it's okay to be a little honest in things like this. I got no problem with that. All right? And I want our women to win. I want them to play well. I wish them all the best. But the reality is, and let me tell you something, soccer in this country is still way behind. You know how I know? Because when I flew out of LAX on Friday, the Los Angeles Galaxy was waiting for their commercial flight to Dallas to play a game over the weekend. Do you know what NBA, NHL, Major League Baseball, and the NFL don't do? They're not in the regular terminal with us. They're getting on airplanes and flying. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show. Twitter, you can tweet at us. CarShield is amazing. 24/7 roadside assistance, a rental car for free while your car's in the shop. And speaking of shop, it's the shop you choose. Why is that important? Because I've heard too many people who I've talked to who've signed up for other, like, extended, warranty, whatever they want to call it. This is real protection, right? It's not that crap you get some of these other places. I went in, I got a car, they offered me one of those things. It was a joke. I'm like, I've got CarShield, I'm taken care of. Let me tell you why going to a place matters. Because if your car has an issue and they say you got to take it here, those people are going to do it for the cheapest price to get that car moving, to get you out of that shop, because they know they're not going to make anything off of it. Guess what? CarShield's extended vehicle protection, they're going to let you take you where it want. They get it paid direct. You pay a small deductible and away you go. Thousands in future car repairs could be saved if you get with CarShield today. It is the ultimate in extended vehicle protection. Call 800-CAR-6100. Mention code Benson to visit carshield.com. Use code Benson to save 10%. That's carshield.com. Code Benson saves you 10%. Or call 800-CAR-6100. Mention code Benson. A deductible may apply. At Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. ChadBenson. Got your useless facts of the day straight ahead. Chad Benson Show.
You go, boy.
This isn't about right or left. This is just about right and wrong.
Right you are, Chad. The Chad Benson Show.
We care on this show. We care so much, sometimes it hurts. We give you warnings about things. Producer Phil, what will nature do to you?
Chad, nature will mess you up.
Will mess you up.
There is no time for fear in a situation like that. You have to use your instinct.
Rainer Schimpf has been inside a whale and lived to tell the tale. Schimpf, a dive tour operator, was documenting a routine sardine run 25 miles off the coast of South Africa when he was swept into the mouth of a bride's whale. You can see half of Schimpf's body hanging out of the mammal.
It got dark, and I felt some pressure on my hip and instantly knew a whale had grabbed me.
Yeah, a whale had grabbed you.
Bride's whales can reach up to 55 feet and can weigh up to 60,000 pounds.
And the next moment, I kind of felt that the whale was turning either way and that the pressure was released. And then I was washed out of the mouth. In all the years, never ever a situation occurred like that. And I'm sure it was a surprise for the whale as well. It was an interesting experience for me, but surely nothing I want to do again.
Yeah, I'm sure the whale went, that is this. What is that? That is gross. That is just gnarly. We go from there to a person who's actually in the wild, right? So they're hanging out in the wild to somebody who is at a place to look at the wild and thought to themselves, I need a better selfie. Sounds like porn. Yeah, so a woman got a little bit too close in AC because, Phoenix and Arizona, we are kind of I'm going to say it, we're the Florida of the West. And she got a little too close, and then she climbed over a barrier because she wants to take a selfie. And didn't go like she thought, because the thing that the Jaguar, which this is the second time the Jaguar has done something like this, but the Jaguar is not in trouble because you see the Jaguar didn't do anything except be the kitty that the kitty is, a wild animal.
The zoo's director stressing the jaguar will not be euthanized because neither attack was the animal's fault.
A zoo spokesperson says that woman who was injured actually went back to apologize, admitting she was wrong to cross that barrier.
Yeah, you're wrong. So I don't feel like when something bad happens to somebody who does something stupid, I don't ever feel bad. It's just they're thinning the herd. She apologized. Good for you. Oh, my Lord. Just a bunch of people. I shake my head at times. I do. You know what happens? She's going to vote. I'm just saying. 323-538-2423. At Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You can tweet at us your useless info of the day. Unfriended, we know about, right? Like, that's a modern term. It's not as modern as you think. The first time unfriended showed up was in print in 1659. It was probably Zuckerberg's great-great-great-great-great-great-great-great-great-great-great-great-great-great-grandfather who said, I'm unfriending you. But he did with a feather pen. Have a good rest of your day. Night-night, Jack.
This is the Chad Benson Show.